I'm just getting myself set up here. All right, that's looking pretty good. Just gonna wait a few minutes while people file in. Got other stuff here that I want to show too. Okay. So today I am going to show, I would love to do an Acreon. Arcannon had this great idea of doing a look at some retro games, which I think would be awesome, like some of my old retro games like Frontier. Excuse me. Excuse me. Arcannon thought that I should try out Frontier and Lander and some of the old Anacreon. I would love to do that. I'm going to do that next Thursday. I think that'd be great. And at the same time, there's also been a request. I think T-Tech and Arcannon would love to have a session where it's just questions, where all we do is take questions. And I think that's another great idea. So I would love to do that. Let me just, before I start an Anacreon demo, I want to show one quick thing that I just want to show my progress on Transcendence for all you Transcendence people out there, which hopefully there's a lot. Last week, if you remember, I showed off some of the shipyard stuff. I've made a little bit progress, and I've kind of changed some things. So I just want to show you. One of the things I changed my mind on is in the old version, like literally last week, you could buy a ship and essentially keep it around as a follower that basically wouldn't do anything. I think I've changed my mind on that. It introduces a whole bunch of new problems and doesn't actually help the player very much. It's basically a crippled version of player ship drones. You know, you end up getting the ship that you can't use to fight, but it still follows you, and so it's not that useful. Uh-oh, Hilo. Knock it up, Hilo. Come here. Wouldn't be a session without Hilo. So instead, what I've done, I'll tell you what I've done instead. Instead, I'm going to allow in the ship broker allow you to essentially buy ships for your wingmen directly. So let me show you how that works. So when you go here, I've got Volkov, and I've also got this old ship that's from the old version. So ignore that ship. But I've got Volkov here at number 2. And oops, sorry, got some source code in there. And so when I go to the ship broker, again, this you guys saw last episode. Basically, I can pick whatever ships. These are just test ships, but you can pick some ship to buy. Let's say this guy. Well, let's say this guy doesn't really matter. And I've got two options. I can either buy a ship for myself. If I click this, then I'll just show you. If I click this, I'm basically going to replace my ship with this ship. And so this is a way to upgrade my own ship. And here I've made the UI a little bit better so you can see kind of both ships and compare them, you know, see if you really want to upgrade. It tells you, you know, kind of what you get here. But the other thing you can do is you can decide, hey, I want to buy this ship for my wingman. And in that case, you kind of choose who you want. If you've got multiple wingmen, you can choose that, buy for your wingman, and now, you know, you get to essentially buy this ship for Volkov. So if I can buy it, you know, it warns you that, hey, here right now it's warning you that you're about to essentially downgrade Volkov. But I'm actually gonna put a wingmen are gonna get a chance to decline an upgrade if it's really a downgrade. But so I buy a ship, and now basically Volkov is now that guy, and the old Wolfen. If I go back into the shipyard, the old Wolfen is now available for sale, and so now I can buy this Wolfen, and I can either switch to it or give it to a different wingman. Of course, you've kind of lost a little bit of money in the transaction because they take a margin, but that's kind of how I'll do it. So the nice thing about this is that in core, playership drones are still going to work the same way, but in core, um, you will only have as many wingmen as you have people for, and so you'll and I think that in vanilla there need to be more places where you can get more people to join you, and so building up your fleet will involve also getting wingmen, and in the um, undetermined future, you can also imagine that some ships require multiple crew. So maybe at some point, not in 1.8, but I know at some point I want to do this. Um, if you can switch to a capital ship, maybe Volkov and Jenna and Rama turn into crew members of your capital ship, and they start manning the turrets or something like that. Or there's ships that require two pilots, and then they have extra powers, but they require two pilots. So it's yet another way that I think you can do that. Um, so, and yeah, of course, PM asks, I should probably have a way to hire people, which absolutely makes sense. Volkov and Jenna and Rama are kind of volunteers. You don't have to pay them anything. You don't even pay for their fuel or repairs. So that's kind of that those are freebie kind of wingmen. But I can totally imagine being able to hire mercenaries, hire crew. Like I kind of think you should be able to go. Again, this is not a 1.8 thing, but you should be able to go to the black market or something and hire a bounty hunter if you have the correct relationship, and you'd have to pay them, over some period of time, or else they would leave. So I think that's how I would do it. But I think that might work. And then, of course, the whole concept of crew, again, that's not a 1.8 thing, but I would love to do that in the future to just have the ability for the player to hire some crew to populate a starship. And again, we can abstract and make it simple. We'll figure things out. Okay. Sorry, let me just take some questions because there's some other questions here. There are a bunch of questions. Get a pet microsaur. Yeah. I looked at the forum threads for ship setups, but found it a tad boring to just do layouts for the standard 3 ships. Will you allow wingmen to decline ship swaps or player classes to block ship changes? Yes, both of those. Both of those. Um, just so you guys know, I wrote up a set of guidelines kind of for how this will work. It's in ministry, and I'll point to it later. But basically, yes, there's an event that happens both on the old ship and the new ship to basically get, so both the new ship class and the old ship class both have to agree that the trade is okay. By default, wingmen are, meaning in the wingman base class, wingmen are going to refuse a downgrade. If you try to offer them a ship that costs less than their current ship, then they're going to say no. But you can imagine customizing some wingmen so that they have certain requirements. Like maybe Volkov will refuse any ship that's slower than a certain speed or something. You can imagine specific wingmen having those kind of preferences. Similarly, I can imagine you may want to create some special ships that for whatever reason you don't want wingmen to possess. In those cases, you can create an event on that ship that basically is am I allowed to give this to a wingman, and you can just return no, and then it won't get given to a wingman, and you can state some reason. So yes, you will have control. Can you change the loadout equipment, buy my wingman a better shield or armor without buying a new ship? Currently, no, but obviously I think that's a great path that I'd like to go towards. The answer is currently no, you cannot, but I think absolutely you should be allowed to. And I'm not sure exactly how to. That's not going to happen in 1.8, but I do want that to happen. It's mostly a UI thing. I don't know whether maybe like when there's some point when you're docking that maybe you get a menu like this where you get to choose whether you want to manage your wingmen or something. I haven't quite figured it out, but it'll be something like that. Just not yet. I can see scenarios where changing ships in some adventures might cause issues. Yeah, exactly. So a great example is using this technique. You can almost certainly try to get the penitent ship that you get in one of those missions and give it to Volkov, and who knows what's going to happen. So the penitent ship is, I'll set that up so that that can't be one of the ships you trade. It won't even let you. I don't think it'll let you upgrade that ship for something else. So that those kinds of things I think make sense, and there's absolutely ways to do that. Okay. Um, yeah, EP and the like. There's plot critical gear is on ships and stuff like that. So again, there's stuff where we will have to make those kinds of decisions. Yes, CDM shard. Actually, You reminded me with CDM shard. I have to add some code. I gotta write that down before I forget. Um, I have to add code to make sure that CDM shard gets dealt with. Yeah. PM says I have a lot of work to do for PSD. Sorry, I hope it's good work, but I'm still knee deep in update for Drake Tech, which I am very excited about. Okay, we can talk a little bit more about. I'll take questions towards the end for sure, but even while I'm doing an Anacreon demo, feel free to hit me with Transcendence questions. It's all fine. Anacreon is it you'll see is slower, so we'll have some room to kind of breathe and think. Anacreon kind of lets you do that. The other thing about Anacreon that I want to talk about is if any of you want to play right now online, feel free to do so. Just follow along. It's anacreon.kronosaur.com. Just go to your web browser. Chrome is probably the one that works best. I think some of the others may have some bugs. But feel free to play along, and you can kind of go along with me. And the galaxy is gigantic, so it's unlikely that we would ever meet within kind of an hour time span. But you never know. So let's try it. There's basically there's a whole bunch of different kind of worlds. They're mostly built around various versions. The latest one is Era 3. This is kind of the latest galaxy. So join that one. I always do Omnithor. I don't know why. So that's going to be my empire and my capital world. And I'll show you how this works. Okay, got to load everything. This is a browser, so we got to load everything. The way Anacreon works is it's a galactic conquest game, so it's fairly it's kind of what you would expect. This is the one world I own. I'm surrounded by all these other worlds that I don't own that I'm going to have to conquer at some point. These red labeled worlds are somebody else's worlds. They are the Technocratic Council of Worlds. That's some other player. I'm way too close to this empire. I'll probably end up dying pretty soon if they happen to want to kill me. There are some rules about big empires attacking small empires. You lose a lot of your empire becomes restless if you're a strong empire picking on weak empires. You start to get more revolutions. So there's things to discourage these large empires from tackling a tiny empire like me. But it does mean that if I ever get big enough to challenge this guy, I'm probably toast. But that's probably not going to happen. So anyways, I start out with a single world, and I have to conquer as many worlds around me. And every time I conquer a world, I can have it build ships and mine metals. It's the classic 4X game. So nothing special. This world that I start with has a whole bunch of ships on it. It's got some explorer ships. These are just scout ships. It's got some jump transports, which is how I carry troops, and it's got some jump ships and jump cruisers, which will do damage to other ships and to defenses. I've also got some static defenses. These defenses just kind of stay on my world and defend my world against attack. You'll see how I'll tackle some other worlds. And then there's stuff about the world. But let's go out. The first thing I usually do is I'm just going to send out some of these where are they? These explorers. They have 100 light year FTL range, meaning they move 100 light years per turn. I'm going to just send them all because why not? I usually start out with more than those, so I'm surprised. I'm going to send them to this world. These black areas of the map are unexplored. If I zoom out, you see this map is totally unexplored, so I'm gonna have to explore some of that more. Um, this counter is basically counting down to the next turn. It's basically one turn in Anacreon represents about one Earth a year, and a turn is about 1 minute of real time. Um, and every minute of real time, um, it, it like I said, is an actual year. Um, Actually, sorry, no, I take it back. I'm sorry, I take it back. It's not a year. It's actually a day. A real time day is a year in Anacreon. So 1 minute is some fraction of that. Okay, so here I am. Notice how this is kind of a darker shade. This is nebula. So I'm stuck in what's called dark nebula, and dark nebula is cannot be cannot be traversed by normal starships. So I'm kind of already a little bit in trouble. Um, these white things are warp rifts, which are impenetrable to any ship. So those I also cannot go on. Let me examine some of these ships. Look, this world is like super primitive. It has almost nothing. It's atomic technology, so I can conquer it. It's going to be fairly useless once I conquer it because it's so low level. But I might as well do it just to show it. I'm going to deploy a huge fleet because why not? I don't really need to defend myself right now. These are these transports carry troops, and I need troops to conquer the planet, so I'm going to carry some troops. Um, so I'm going to carry 4,000. That sounds about right. Usually about one infantry brigade per transport. Let's deploy that. I'm going to send it here. This means it's going to take a couple of minutes. Meanwhile, I'm going to send this guy here. This is all happening in real time. If anybody else is playing, we're kind of playing all together. Okay, so now we have a little bit of time for questions. And there was a planned but never made adventure where the player was an AI and thus would only be able to change ships under very specific circumstances and to particularly new ships. Yeah, again, that would work really, really well with the design where you can just um, handle those events. Soft Dragon Belly. That's not a default name. That somebody once conquered that world and now is dead. Let's go over there. We'll see what's around there. I probably want to explore outside of this nebula though, because stuff inside the nebula is kind of, well, I mean, maybe not. I'm just gonna go for jump ships anyway, so maybe this is all okay. Um, it's very claustrophobic though. I'm used to playing out in open space, and so this feels very claustrophobic to me. Like I really don't know what's going on. Nebula restricts your sensor, so you can't see as far, and so that makes everything a little bit harder to explore. The advantage of Nebula, though, is you can use ram ships, some special types of starships, which are generally fairly powerful, but that only work inside Nebula. So um, my goal there was kind of to have. Ooh, that's a nice little area. My goal was to have sort of types of empires that essentially specialize for Nebula. Okay, this guy's there, so now we're gonna attack this world. So I've got on this fleet, I've got a whole bunch of ships and a bunch of infantry brigades. Notice that I've lost some. One of the things about Anacreon is there is attrition. So in the time that it's taken for the ship to travel that far, some ships have broken down. There's attrition, and that always affects things. Okay, let me try it. Oh, yeah, I'll attack. Let's zoom in. Here we go. So these are my little fleets. Anacreon is large-scale stuff. It's not like Transcendence where it's, you know, uh, individual ships fighting against individual ships. This is entire fleets, and if I zoom in, you can kind of see how each of these things is formed of actually smaller ships or smaller groups. Okay, now they're raining down some missiles to destroy these defenses. The range of these ships, oh, here they go, they're trying to fire back, but yeah, my ships have point defense and all this other stuff. This is a primitive world. It's not going to be a problem taking it over. Um, for the most part, I don't have to do anything. I can, if I want to, start ordering my ships to do things. Like I can order this guy to go out to a different orbit. Um, but for the most part, it's not that useful unless you're really maneuvering against a lot of other starships. The orbital mechanics here are real in the sense that I'm calculating real, the mass of the planet and stuff like that, based on and doing fairly accurate, not fully accurate, but fairly accurate orbital calculations. Um, Now I'm waiting for the transports to land, so that's going to take a while. They're way up here, so we'll go back to this and wait for them to land. While meanwhile I can do other things. I can have multiple battles going on at the same time, and that's all fine. I'm gonna go. Right now, ships cannot jump or travel, for that matter, to any place other than a known star system. So I can't like decide to plant my ship in the middle of space. There's just no markers for me to go there. So I have to always go there. I'm going to try to explore this empty part of space just to see what's going on. I'm going to stop at this enemy capital. I hope no one's going to attack me there. We'll see. We'll find out. Um, these guys are continuing their landing, and they're going to be fine. Another question. For Transcendence, when will be a good time to award a quest weapon? Given a level 15 quest weapon that is balanced doesn't seem helpful if player is level 14 or higher. Maybe the player had level 12 or 13. That's a great question. I think generally, I think you're absolutely right. I would give out a level 15 weapon at either level, 13 maybe. 12 might be a little low, um, but it all depends on the quest. So I don't think it's that crazy. It's in Transcendence. I really think it's okay to have the player's difficulty level be a little lumpy based on these kind of quests. Like, you do a quest that's really hard, you get this really cool weapon, and now essentially the game becomes easy for the next, 2 or 3 levels until, you hit the next part where it's hard. So yes, I think 2 levels is okay. Giving it out at level, 13, I think is totally fine. Giving out a 12 might be a little early. That's 3 levels, but it might not be that bad, especially if the quest weapon has some limitations. Um, Another thing to do with quest weapons, you can increase the power if you maybe add charges or some kind of like non-renewable missiles. So you imagine you giving out a weapon, a quest weapon that's like 3 or 4 levels above standard. You might do that, but have it only have a limited number of missiles, and once you run out of missiles, you don't get any more. That is another way to balance it. So this is like a huge empire over here. I'm just gonna keep moving. These lines here are trade routes. Oh, I conquered this world. Oh, yippee. Okay, that's awesome. So now this world is mine. You can see that the kind of radius borders of my empire have increased. When I conquer a world, um, I can now designate it, and designating basically tells it what to do. I can make it do consumer goods so that my population gets food and luxuries. I can turn it into an infantry academy to be kind of troops, or trillium extractor, which is fuel. This particular world, I can see it has very minor trillium deposits, so that's probably not good. It's got all this Cthulhan deposits, which are not necessarily that useful to me right now. They're mainly used for like larger starships. Same with Chronimium. So I think I'm just gonna do consumer goods. Although consumer goods is probably not that great because this is a kind of a a dark world that doesn't have a lot of biosphere. Okay. Meanwhile, let me do some more stuff. Whoa, this is a giant star. Oh, there's a bug here that's wrapping around too much. But this is a giant star fleet, a starship fleet. I don't want to mess with that. This player is probably not online, so I'm not too worried. But I don't want to stick around. Here's another. I'm just going to keep going around here. It looks like there's a lot of nebula. I'm really in the middle of it. Meanwhile, I'm going to move my fleet somewhere else. Let's see if there's another place I can conquer. There's no way I can conquer this ship. That's got way too many infantry brigades. Space forces are about 5,000, whereas the space forces for my tiny fleet are only about 1,500. So I got to find things that are I can actually take. This one I don't even know what forces it has. How about these guys? Oh, I bet I can take these guys. Here's a digital level world. Let's go take that world. That's going to take a few jumps. Meanwhile, we're heading up here. Oh, that one I could definitely take. Maybe I'll take that one instead. That's going to take several more jumps, but this one I think is just on the edge, and it's fusion level, which means that's going to give me some good stuff. I can build jump ships on that world. I'm reading. So far, my level 15 quest weapon is balanced as a high 15 or low 16 and has capacitor attack level at a level 17, 18 for a couple of seconds. Yeah, that's perfect. A bit like Ares Lantern. That's perfect. I think it's a great thing. So I assume Anacron development wouldn't work well over open source. Probably. I don't know. I mean, I haven't worked out the business model, to be honest, so I don't know. Anacron is still kind of in a primitive state, so I don't really know. What I'm planning on is doing Anacron basically with expansions, just like Transcendence. So there'll be a whole bunch of expansions that give you, more types of starships, more types of, planet types, et cetera, and then people will be able to buy those expansions and play them on the server. But there's other business models that we've talked about, and I just don't know. I don't know what we're going to end up. My first priority is really Transcendence, so Anacron has kind of fallen way into the back burner. I'm showing it off just because I think it's fun just to see what else is going on. And there's still a whole bunch of people that play Anacron fairly regularly, that play this version fairly regularly. So Beacon of Perpetuity. I don't even know who those are. Okay, let's keep going. There's not much. Let me explore this way. I'll go this direction. So I conquered this guy. These guys are dissatisfied, but their population is going to increase, so that's fine. So I'm not going to worry about them for now. They've got consumer goods. They've got, yeah, they're going to be okay for now. I'm just going to leave them alone for now. I'm surrounded by this empire, Technocratic World of Council, Technocratic Council of Worlds. So I'm not going to be able to do very much. Let me go over here to these unclaimed worlds and see what I can do. And then when I get there, which should be two more turns. Okay. Isn't every game play to win? Yeah, I'm gonna try. Believe it or not, I was one of the first company. I was back in the 90s. We did one of the first companies to do not just play to win, but loot boxes. This was in '96. We had essentially a clone of Magic the Gathering called Kronosaur. It was an online collectible card game, and collectible card games are essentially loot boxes. And I was really horrible at balancing, so it ended up being pretty much pay to win. So that's kind of how it worked. But no, I think for an Acreon, I definitely I'm not going to do loot boxes. Although I would love to figure out some way to do just lots of small little things that you can buy. Um, but it's almost certainly my first instinct, my first try is going to be expansion model, just like Transcendence. So, um, it won't be too evil. That's another fleet. What are they doing? I don't know. Am I almost there? No, I'm almost there. Okay. Um, Not Transcendence. What blasphemy? Yeah, sorry, I'm just showing off. Um, we'll do some. I'll do a little bit more Transcendence towards the end. But as I said, please feel free to ask questions. Okay, this guy has a bunch of hell cannons, which is not super awesome for me. But and now that I see it, this world is actually kind of crappy. It's a barren world, trace trillium deposits, a little bit of hexacarbide. So this is actually kind of a useless world. I'm sorry I took it, but or I'm sorry I came here, but I'm just going to take it. We're going to invade it, and we're going to see what happens. This is going to be a little bit harder because these guys, I think, are going to be a lot more. Their defenses are a lot better. These are lasers, which means I can't block them with my point defense. So I have a feeling I'm going to be losing a lot of these ships, which is going to be a problem. But we'll see what happens. Okay, here we are on approach. These guys are the transports. These guys are the transports. They kind of stay out of range until these guys take out the defenses. Oh, here they go. Yeah, so I'm going to start. I'm losing ships already at a fairly, and I can barely retaliate. Okay, here come my bombs. There we go. I have a little bit of bugs. There's a little bit of a delay between when these guys disappear and when they actually get hit. But I'll fix that. These guys actually, to be honest, should get the heck out of there. These guys should get out because this is actually, I think, a bug with the AI. It takes them so long to get into position, and they're outranged by these guys that it just never. It's almost never worth it. I end up losing most of these ships before they even get in range to attack. So I think I've got it. Oh, one more. There we go. Okay, now the transports can come in. Okay, now I'm okay. Now I'll have to wait for the transports to come in. Meanwhile, let's look over here. This guy is he's producing a lot more organic food than they need. So I'm gonna import food from here. So what this is doing now is this is a trade route, and this is how we specialize. Since this guy is producing more food than necessary, I'm going to import it to this planet. And in compensation, what's going to happen is because this planet now is importing food from here, its consumer goods stuff is going to start decreasing, and it's going to devote more stuff to building ships. So that's what I want. This guy's going to build ships faster. So this is kind of the whole basic strategy of an Acreon is you specialize your planets so that they're producing as many ships as possible by importing all their raw materials from other planets. The problem, of course, is now that makes you slightly vulnerable because the minute someone disrupts your trade routes, now you're dead. Well, not dead, but you start having starvation across the empire, which is never good. Okay, let's see what else we got here. These planets are way too hard to take over. I'd love to take this guy over, but I can't afford that one. Underdog, I don't know anything about. I wish I could find a good Trillium planet. Like this guy. Major Trillium deposits. That's what I want. Maybe I'll go visit that guy next. Meanwhile, anything around here? Nothing really. There's nothing really around here. And I don't have too many more ships. So once I run out of these ships, I'm done. I basically have to wait until... I mean, the capital will continue building ships, but at a fairly low rate. So it's usually I have to wait overnight for it to replenish my ships. Another Transcendence question. Can a modern Archaeotech race lock down the devices so that player needs to activate like an old artifact? Oh, that's a really good question. I'm assuming that what you're saying is, um, I'm not sure if you mean creating new artifacts that require you to take them over, or if you mean when they destroy a ship, the artifacts essentially get locked down. The answer to either is yes. I think that makes sense. I don't, these are AIs, and I can totally imagine that they've created or modified or hacked the AI to have whatever properties you desire. So yes, if you want that property for that race, I think that's awesome. I think that's a great idea. Um, okay, let's send this guy. We're going to send this guy out to there. That's a sector capital. Actually, no, I'm going to send it to Underdog. Let's go to Underdog instead. Oh, too late. I'll send it out to there. Just try to explore around here. Okay, now I've conquered this world. Excellent, now I can designate it. I can be a citadel, I can be jump shipyard. That's what I'm going to do. Okay, so now it's going to build jump ships for me. It's going to build, well, right now it's just building explorers. I need to get some other stuff to build the other stuff, but it's fine. And meanwhile, we're going to move here, which has major Trillium deposit. This beacon of perpetuity seems pretty crappy world. Okay, we'll go there. How's this guy doing? Oh, they're content. That's great. Population is going up. This is great. It's going up. It just turned digital. That's awesome. But shortages of durable goods. Okay, well that's all right. They'll adjust. It's just about starting to build those. All right, we're okay. Nova Constantinople. That I cannot take. That's too tough for me. That one I cannot take. That one's too hard for me. That one's I don't even know what that is. Carthage. Yeah, nothing. We'll go around. Let's go down here. And meanwhile, this guy, I don't know what's there, but I'll find out and see if I can attack it. Okay. One thing about Anacreon that I have to work on is it's super complicated and not easy to learn. You can see just by all the crazy stuff there is and all the, like, I mean, if you start looking at all the numbers, you can just go completely crazy. So in that sense, it's kind of difficult to figure out what's going on. I have to make it more accessible without losing some of the complexity, because I don't mind the complexity. I mean, it's not Dwarf Fortress level complexity, but it's enough complexity that I think it makes it fun. I think I can take these guys barely. Oh, GDM silos, yeah, those are easy. Let's take this planet. We can take this planet. This is some kind of nebular world. What does GDM stand for? GDM stands for Ground Defense Missile. So those are missiles that will try to hit these guys, but these guys have a higher range than the missiles, so I don't think the missiles will hit them. And these guys have point defense. Those guys, oh, those guys too. So yeah, those are the missiles. So it's not usually a problem to attack these guys. Although I am losing some guys. They're sending so many missiles. They're overwhelming my point defense. Yeah, whoops! I almost lost a whole bunch. And these guys don't have point defense. These guys should be smarter. They should be a lot higher out of range of the missiles, but they're being pretty dumb right now. That's another problem with the current version of Anacron. It's the AI is not surprisingly somewhat dumb, but that's because AI is hard. Uh, okay, more stuff from PM. The idea is to give you a quest weapon, but the catch is they lock it, they seal their best weapons, which is awesome. And to prove your worth, you need to awaken it. I think that's great. It's my silly awaken of randomizing the quest reward. Oh, that's cool. Since awakening the artifact selects the item randomly. Yeah, I mean that. I think that works. I think that's pretty cool. Okay, now I think we're good. How's the docs tutorial for Anacron? Lots of complexity is much better if there's a robust help system or tutorial. That's a great point. That's a really good point. There's a bunch of player written tutorials slash explanations. If you look at the Anacron forums, I think there's a lot. But I don't have any. I don't have any. Official ones. And the game, will change. I'm learning a lot about this set of beta players who are playing right now. They have a lot of great ideas about what's hard and what's easy, and there's some hard stuff that's needlessly hard that I think I can fix. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. But I agree with you. Docs and tutorials I think are super useful. It, I definitely am taking a different approach on Anacron versus Transcendence. Whereas Transcendence, my goal really is that you shouldn't have to read a manual to play Transcendence. You should be able to learn everything there is to learn by playing the game. Anacron, it's okay if it's not that way. Anacron, it's okay if you have to read the manual, and the trade-off is, in theory, you get some interesting complexity. That's the hope, anyways. I'm not sure that's true right now. All right, we'll let those guys conquer. Whoa, there's a lot more worlds over here. The galaxy, each game in the galaxy, there's 5,000 worlds, so there's a lot of worlds. I'm not even gonna. I've got only a tiny fraction of the galaxy. The galaxy is probably about that big. I don't even know exactly how big, but it's pretty big. Okay. I'm just going to loop my way around just to explore and see what else is out there. Meanwhile, now that I've got, or I'm about to get this guy. Now he's building defenses. He's building ships. So this is cool. T has made a lot of progress with that, teaching you to play as you go. Wasn't ever bad, but additions in the updates in the last couple of years have seen great for new players. Kudos, thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you. That's definitely something that I've consciously tried to do on Transcendence, because I really do think it needs it. So thank you. I'm glad it's helpful. All right, this guy is a Trilum world, so I'm going to designate it to Trilum, and then I'm going to from here import that stuff. Trilum is one of those things that is super useful. You can see 30% of its industry, about 29.4, is going towards Trilum. If I can import that from this world, then everything else will start growing. We'll stop wasting time mining our own Trilum. Okay, now let's go. Okay, so that guy's fine. This poor fleet is like been torn apart. I've got a bunch of. I still have a lot more of my infantry, but I have very few of my attack ships. So I'm not. I can conquer basically mostly empty worlds, and these guys are not empty. Maybe I will head for the. This is also kind of a dead end. There's not much around here, so I can't even. Maybe I'll head over here. Just try to take that guy. And meanwhile, these guys I'm going to send off Nightfall. I'll go to Plasma Waste. Try to see what's around here. Uncle Bill says, I remember the old turn-based version of Anacreon. Played it by email a couple times. I love the complexity and the rude lesson into the sins of micromanagement. Yeah, yeah, that's one thing about the old Anacreon. It was definitely micromanagement. The old Anacreon, though, had a whole bunch of cool features that this does not have that I want to eventually put in. I mean, the old Anacreon had things like, building Death Stars, building these like mega structures. It had programmable fleets, so you could essentially write a short little script for your fleets to tell them to essentially do a trade route. So they would go from planet to planet, picking up materials, dropping them off. Um, that was real micromanagement. Here, you set up these trade routes and then you kind of sort of let them go on their own. Um, but still, the idea of programmable fleets, I still think is cool. So I do want to add some of those features. I definitely want to add mega structures into Anacreon. All right, plasma waste. That's another major trillium deposit. These Imperial worlds are actually quite good. Here's a post-industrial world. The tech tree in Anacreon is in the original Anacreon. The tech tree was very linear. You'd start at essentially pre-industrial and go all the way up to like Stargate technology, and every level was essentially better than the one before it. In Anacreon, it's slightly different. There's various trade-offs. Basically, from tech level 1, which is pre-industrial, all the way to tech level something like 7, which is biotech. Um, as you go up the tech levels, your industrial production goes up, your population goes up. You start having planets that produce a lot. But as you get higher than that, then the demands of the population start growing beyond your industrial capacity. So by the time you get to a post-industrial world, your population now starts dropping because no one wants to have kids, and the planet's consumption of consumer goods goes through the roof. And as a planet, you're not actually producing too many starships because you're just devoting all your industry to satisfying consumer goods. But at the same time, you have a tech level that can create some classes of starships that no other planet can create, and so there's kind of that trade-off of small numbers of really really advanced ships versus large numbers of weaker ships. That's kind of the trade-off you get in technology here. All right, let's see how this guy's doing. We'll attack that world. It's got autocannons. Whoa, those might actually be a little dangerous. I don't have. Let's see if that works out. That I may be in trouble with it. Let's watch this one. This world has satellite defenders, which have a longer range than some of my, well, certainly than some of the previous defenses. So I would like to see if I can take it. We shall see. Where are my attack fleets? They're probably hidden here. Oops, wrong one. There they are. So that there we go. Got one of them. Got another one. Yeah, this might be okay. I might be okay. These ground defense missiles might be a little more powerful. They were not nearly this powerful um, a couple of versions ago. They used to be one-shot missiles, which was way too weak. Now they do fire, but I think they fire a little too. Their fire rate's a little too high. But we'll see. I may not be able to take out all these missiles before they kill my fleet. I have like 11 ships left. 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, that's okay. So basically, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just sacrifice some of my transports. My transports are just going to go have to. They're going to land and still get attacked by these guys. So that's all I can do. Are they all landing? Not all of them. I'm going to force them all to land. Oh, no, I think my fleet aborted. Oh, bummer. I want to make sure these guys landing ground units. Okay. Land. Land. I say, oh, landing ground units. Okay. Land. There we go. Okay, so now these guys hopefully are going to land. We'll see. All right, we'll see. I'll wait for that to happen. We'll see. 18 megameters. We'll wait. Okay, keep going. Um, where else am I? Oh, over here. Let's keep going on this guy. We'll go over here. Okay, getting closer. I normally would start out with a few more ships, but I just have not. Let me take over some. These guys are probably pretty crappy little planets. I'll do 400 because why not? I need more infantry. Let's go over here. How are these guys doing? Are they still doing things? They're still landing. Okay, this guy's almost about to land. Oops. There they go. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Don't get hit. Landed. I think I did it. Did it work? Or did it retreat? Failed. Failed. I just don't have enough. I don't have enough forces. How would a few guys go over there? Yeah, it's too bad. Okay, keep going. Let me go. Let me go around this way. See if this is like blocked, so I can't do anything there. How are these guys doing? This guy's building a bunch of ships. That's pretty good. This guy's going up in tech levels. That's good. They're content. This guy, oh, they're dissatisfied again. Oh, for heaven's sakes. They're producing durable goods, but not very many. That's the problem. It's not producing too many consumer goods. Okay. We'll wait. We will wait. I want to see if there's something around here. Eastern Escarpment. Okay, he's almost there. He's there. There's no other place for me to go. I'll go over here. That'll let me find some stuff around here, hopefully. And while I'm at it, I will send... no. No, I'm fine. Almost there. I think now I'm at the point now, I think, where I've run out of ships, so now I have to wait for my capital to rebuild more ships. Tomorrow I'll be able to have another set of ships, and they'll be able to attack some more planets. But I think I've pretty much run out of what I'm going to be able to do today. Not without having more ships. There's just not that many planets to conquer right now. But at least I haven't gotten attacked by these guys. These guys look like they got some serious firepower. All right, almost there. This guy is moving through this little area. Let's see if there's any ships around there. All right. Let me transfer these guys back to the second fleet. Just going to combine these fleets. And now attack again. Oh, wait, what happened? Oh. I did take it. How'd that happen? I think there's a bug somewhere in here. I think the world surrendered. Well, that's cool. I don't mind that. I like that idea. Let's designate then. Do we have any good Trillium? No. Infantry Academy. How about that? Can make me some soldiers. And meanwhile, my pathetic little fleet can move on to... How's this guy? Try that one. Meanwhile, this guy is going through there. That's fine. Alright, well, that's pretty much all I've got. Let me know if you've got other Transcendence questions or questions about anything. Next episode, I think I'd like the idea of doing kind of a retro demo, doing some demos of... Alright, sorry, I was muted for a second. Next episode I'm going to do, I think I'd like the idea of doing some retro games, try to show off Frontier, try to show off, I don't know about the original Anacron, I'm not even sure I remember how to play that. to be honest. But some of those, there's a bunch of those that I think I can play and we can talk about. Um, and of course, I'm continuing to make progress on Transcendence. I hope to get the shipyard stuff done by next week. I really do. It's been really slow, but I've made some serious progress. So I think I'm going to be okay. Um, other than that, that's just about it. Let me see how this guy's doing. He's doing fine. This guy's going there. This guy's still dissatisfied, but that's because they're not making enough durable goods. But as long as they don't starve, they want more military defense. Who cares? These guys, more military defense, more military defense. Okay, well, I'm doing what I can. This guy at least is producing some. Not yet. It's the infantry academy is still building up. It's only up to 20%, and it needs to get up to 50%. So that's still going up. How's this guy in terms of Trillium production? It's producing a good amount, so I think this guy can import. I'm gonna import. Oh no, I need a spaceport. Okay, well, all right, let's build a spaceport. Oh, I can't build anything. This guy. Can this guy build something? Yeah, build a spaceport for me, please. Okay, so that guy's building a spaceport. That guy's too low level to build anything. This I can take. Barely. See how that goes. And this guy hasn't found anything good. I want to see if there's planets around here, but I haven't found any. And I want to be able to go around that side, but I have not found any good ones. Okay. They're landing. Those autocannons. One of the things I like in Anacreon, at least in this version, oh, they're starting to fight. Oops. Sorry. Too far. I don't know if I'm going to make it. These guys are pretty. These guys have a lot of missiles. I might make it. Although I lost my adamant class. But the Stingers, I think, are doing it. Good job. Yeah, now we're good. Now we're good. There's a couple of autocannons, but that's not that bad. I was going to say, one of the things I like about Anacreon is, or this version, is that I've got realistic scales. If you look at this, this is kind of the scale in megameters, and as I zoom out, it starts to, notice everything's still moving in there. We're still like at the same scale. Here's 1 light second. So if the moon were, if this were the Earth and the moon would be right around there. But I can keep zooming out. That's the star. Now we're at 2 light minutes. And you can even see the shadow is properly rendered based on the position of the planet and the star. And we can keep going out. and at some point you should see. I don't have this working, but I'd love to be able to show like an Oort cloud. Um, and now we're at this. Now we're at this scale, zero point 0.1 light years, and I keep on zooming. And now we start seeing other star systems. Though that star system looks like 20, maybe 25, 30 light years away. So these are all real scales, and I can go all the way out to about, couple thousand. Well, that's probably too far. That's 1,000 light years. The size of the map is probably about 5,000 light years across. So, all right, and I conquered these guys. That's even better. Let's designate this to be. Wait, what are these guys good at? Nothing. No, you guys are useless. And now we'll do. Let's go there. Why not? This guy found nothing. I kind of was hoping to find some planets around here, but I found nothing. That's the problem with Dark Nebula. You really just don't. Your range is not very good. Meanwhile, those guys are going there. All right, we'll go down this way. Oh, 508. Oh, yeah, I guess I'm done. But yeah, feel free to certainly feel free to ask questions. If anyone's got questions, I'm all ears. Luminous turret. Oh, let's show this off. Oh, that's pretty cool. This is Arcannon's luminous turret. I assume this is kind of a virtual reality version. I think that's pretty cool. There's some cool stuff going on. Yeah, gray space only. That's awesome. I think that's pretty cool. I like that. I like the animation. If you got more to show, I would love to show it off. I may not survive this one. Yeah, I'm not going to even try. Aldebaran. That looks also pretty risky. I won't try that one either. Here's another one. Radiant Core. Oh, this one's really cool. I really like that. It's just got some interesting complexity. Transcendence question. What makes the device military for an ancient race? Peak of their tech level? Yes. Yeah. Basically, the way I'm roughly dividing it is, if you notice, the galaxy is kind of divided into these two arms, and the first arm, the Serenus arm, tech really goes from kind of 11 to 15, and so when you get to around level 14 or so, that's kind of starting to be the peak of most of the race's tech. So that's where you start labeling things as military. I think I'd like to experiment with different. I don't think we want to copy exactly what it means to be military, based on what Part 1 does. But I'm not sure what to do. But I suspect different races will have different ideas of what military means and like there may be some races that don't restrict military weapons at all. There may be some races where military is, starts very low levels, like level 12. But we'll have to experiment. In the other arm, the Abaddon arm, it's much more of a free for all. It's more chaotic. It's a more chaotic arm. There's not as many rules, so I can think that, and their tech goes kind of from level 16 to level 20. There, I think maybe there might be some sovereigns that have kind of the concept of military tech, but I bet for a lot of them it's kind of more like it's a little bit more free for all. Um, but honestly, I haven't worked it out. But for the first arm, yeah, I think that's probably about right. Exactly, and you say, meanwhile, my human remnants are too desperate to care about that. Yeah, exactly right. I mean, the humans don't have those kind of that they wouldn't have those kind of military distinctions. Although, it might be interesting to think about, use maybe Battlestar Galactica as inspiration. The human remnants on that side might still try to set up almost an interim government or some kind of division between civil and military. I don't know, maybe not. As always, I suspect there's diversity, and what your set of refugees do might be totally different than what a different set of refugees do. So I think you have a lot of leeway in kind of figuring out how your set of human remnants behave. Um, did you know that Radiant Core is a bunch of hexagon rings mashed together? Oh, that's really cool. It's not super obvious, and I like that. I like it's just kind of, it looks just complex but still patterned. Here's another one. Um, that's cool. Luminous Core Hero. That's pretty cool. My human remnant has a level 15 disintegrator, not random, must use foundry to get. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, that's kind of another kind of special quest weapon. I like that. That's pretty cool. Oh, I'm starting to get protests. Oh boy. How's this guy doing? Is this guy building good consumer goods? No. But I might as well import. Ah, I can't. I need a spaceport. Bugger. Luminous is pyramids and cubes. Radiant is hexagons. Oh, that's cool. I like that idea. Sorry, for those of you joined in late, I just did a session with Anacreon. I'm just kind of showing off some stuff. Um, but please feel free to ask Transcendence questions. Um, Especially now, we're kind of over time, so I'm not really. I'm just playing to show something on the screen. But feel free to ask Transcendence questions. It's Transcendence time. I should attack this guy, even though I'm gonna lose. I will definitely lose this battle, but we'll see what happens. Uh, let's see what else is going on. So my plan is everything's moving a little bit slower than I wanted to, but I'm still planning to work on the shipyard code. I want to finish that by next week for sure. Um, so if you've got ideas for types of ships to sell at shipyards, there's a little post about kind of some of the vanilla player ships. But if you've got other ship ideas, just post them there too. That's in the forums. Meanwhile, the other thing I'm going to do, I've decided I want to do. Um, I want to have two new ship classes available for purchase at a shipbroker at basically at dry docks. One of them is an EI 200 class. Let the player fly an EI 200 with basically lots of cargo. I mean, it'll have like 500 tons of cargo space, and we'll have to do some trade-offs in terms of we'll do trade-offs in terms of how many devices. It'll be limited, in the number of weapons and all that. But and maybe there'll be some limits to. Well, there'll definitely be limits to maneuverability and probably speed. But we'll have to figure out some other trade-offs. And the other type of ship that I want to have is basically a light corvette class. It's basically um, I want it to be basically a fleet ship that's above the Britannia. It's basically a somewhat fast, not very maneuverable, but with lots of weapons. A Corvette class that the player can fly, and it's not going to have a crew. It probably won't have interior compartments. It's a light Corvette. It's not very big, but it's enough, I think, to hopefully give something for the player to look forward to getting. So that's kind of what I'm doing. Um, yeah, it's a bit, yeah, the EI 200 will be a bit slower than the 500. I think that's the plan. Yes, and with the new drive mechanics, that'll stay true with the new drive. So yeah, and but maybe we'll still have some other disadvantages, and I just don't know what they are. Um, we'll have to figure that out. It might be, yeah, I don't know. I haven't figured it out. We'll have to figure some stuff out. But it still might be a pretty interesting trade-off. So we'll figure it out. Uh, Another minor question: what would qualify for random artifacts that need to be awakened? So far, I've been adding kind of weird stuff or blatant ports from other games that have no common theme. One of my recent additions is a level 17 or 18 artifact launcher that fires something resembling the Quicks. I don't remember that. I don't remember that. Other than that, if you're, yeah, I don't remember that. I guess I'll have to check that one out. Um, but I don't have a good general answer to your question. Um, what will qualify for random artifacts that need to be awakened? Um, the Kicks game. In general, I think um, anything with trade-offs, anything that has an interesting trade-off where the player maybe has to maybe gain something but loses something. Presumably gains more than they lose. Um, but anything that's not just a straightforward, um, you get a weapon and it does X DPS and you're done. Um, so that's kind of what I'm thinking. Um, uh, what I'd like to do also with artifacts that I haven't yet done properly is more artifacts that show a little bit of sentience or will. Um, Artifacts that, like maybe weapons that perhaps refuse to fire on certain classes of enemies, or you know, artifacts that the opposite, that always fire on a certain class of enemies, never let you not fire on them, something like that. Anything where the weapon, again, and I count that as a trade-off, but anywhere where the weapon has a little bit of will of its own. Um, so it is homing, but after it kills a target, it wanders a bit. Yeah, see, those kinds of things I think are interesting, where the mechanics are a little bit interesting. So yeah, I like that. I mean, anything where it's not just you're shooting a bullet and the bullet hits and it does damage. I think that's pretty cool. Smart bombs, yeah, yeah, that kind of stuff. I mean that um, a smart bomb that hits everything on the screen, friend or foe. Yeah, I mean that's similar to some of the mine stuff in Transcendence that hits friends. I don't think that's a problem. All right, or rather, I think that's a good idea. Ooh, this one's got major trillium deposits. Let's go back. I'll make that a trillium base, because why not? We'll go over here and see what's up there. Okay, other questions. There should be more armor non-weapon quest rewards. Oh, I love that. Such as Arco super armor patches. Yeah. Um, yeah, there's also, if you notice, I think there's certainly part two is missing a whole bunch of enhancement items, but even in part one, um, there's not there's I think there's room for more kinds of enhancements and more kinds of there's not as many quest weapon level shields, and there's definitely not enough quest level miscellaneous items. I'd love to do some specialized reactors maybe that either have very high efficiency but maybe some other trade-off. Be nice to have some specialized drives. I don't know, more things like the jump drive that kind of have some special effects. There's a ton of ideas that I think would be awesome, but I haven't thought of them. Let's go around here. Arco Von could create a business from making what is apparently super armor paste. I never do explain what that tech is or who created it or what, where they got it. Um, we'll have to create a backstory sometime. Someone's got to have some headcanon about that. Maybe Arco's dad is like a corporate engineer somewhere and developed this paste. We'll have to come up with some some good ideas for that. That guy's gonna kill me. I'm not gonna go. I'm gonna return back to here. Um, there should be more super rare items named after characters. Um, yeah, I like that idea too. I mean, I don't know if you're talking about things like the, hero optimizer, um, but I kind of agree that there should be more things like that. Um, yeah, I would definitely love to add some more miscellaneous devices, um, just some more interesting things like that. Oh man, I'm dead end again. Centauri nanos, they're not particularly useful by overall Commonwealth standards. Yeah, I mean, certainly the Commonwealth fleet wouldn't need something like that. So it's not like it's I don't know. It's not like it's some amazing breakthrough. So yeah, I think that's why it's okay. That's why I don't think it's too um, uh, canon breaking or believability breaking. So yeah, I think it's cool. Uh, I can't read this green text. Renames the Flintster to Hanlon's Razor. That's not bad. Yeah, I think that kind of stuff I think would be cool. We have to create, I think, a little bit more canon around some of that stuff. I think that's always fun. It's always fun to have um, more characters in the world. So I'm not opposed to that. We have Dvalin, the kind of chief scientist at Razier Messer, but there's got to be an equivalent person at Makayev. There's got to be some genius woman or man or something that is the chief scientist for Makayev, and they either have a rivalry or something. Same with IE and Nami. Although IE and Nami maybe are too big, they probably have multiple chief. It's probably much more corporate and more. There aren't like kind of brilliant scientists there. Just a whole bunch of managers dealing with scientists. So I don't know. We should think about that too. I think that might be interesting. I'm finding my way around here. What does NAMI stand for? I believe it originally stood for North American Manufacturing Industries, but I'm not sure if that's totally consistent anymore. That's what it did back when I started the game in 2003. Since I created the North Atlantic Union, maybe it should be um, North Atlantic Manufacturing. Actually, you know what? I forget. It might originally be North Atlantic Manufacturing, not North American. But in any case, I don't think it's spelled out in the game, so we should come up with something. I think I would kind of relate it to um, North Atlantic Union, like I said before, just like just like Pacific Defense is kind of somewhat related to Asia Pacific in some cases. North Atlantic, NAMI might be closer to now somehow, but that's kind of what I would do. I think all wingmen should carry their own specially enhanced gear. That's not a bad idea. Um, SLAM doesn't stand for anything. I don't think that's an acronym. Um, Not that I remember. If you also remember the Centauri warlords have claw cannons, CLAW, and those are capitalized as an acronym. But I don't think I ever figured out what the acronym stood for. MAG is another one that I kind of reversed. I kind of started with the acronym, and then I later came up with it, but I don't remember what it was anymore. Um, One thing, PM says, one thing I should try to do once I can build models and missions is to add NPCs for my mods. Yeah, oh, I think that'd be awesome. It's named Claw because it sounds scary. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I never came up with an act with a. You guys will have to come up with something, but hey, it's got W, so it's got to be weapon, something weapon. Centauri, large weapon. Oh, there goes Hilo. Hey, stop it! Come over here, Hilo. Hilo, come here. He's always barking at something. Um, Pacific Defense builds ships for the Commonwealth, not APD, according to CC. Yeah, I'm sure you're right. I mean, I know you're right because that's like all the Centaurians and even the Aquilas. No, is it the Aquilas? I don't remember. But the Britannias, the Wolfens, they're all built by Pacific Defense. Yeah, I totally know. So I'm telling you, this is what used to be kind of old connections. I think now, I don't think it's the same anymore. So I guess I agree with you. The canon's kind of shifted. Um, we should retcon some things. Yeah, there's a ton of stuff that we need to retcon. The we If we start a list of things to retcon, I'm afraid we'd end up with some pretty ridiculous stuff. Um, um, yeah, I don't even know. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff. Change manufacturers to match the new sovereigns in EP. Yeah, yeah. What's an example of that? I don't know if you mean. Um, I mean, uh, UAS, United African States, definitely has kind of has changed a little bit. If you look at the design of the ships in Eternity Port versus the design of the ships in Part One, it's a little bit funky. So I think we'll have to. I think I want to rationalize that a little bit. I don't mean change the design, but at least place them in a timeline so we know which is the older design and which is the newer design. That kind of stuff. Speaking of retcons and stuff, I need to develop lore for some of this. PM speaking. Speaking of retcons and stuff, I need to develop lore for some of my creations. Once I think of stuff for things that seem true and won't change my yeah that seem mature and won't change much. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, the Drake tech stuff I think is really pretty cool. I think there's a lot that you can hang off of that. So we'll see how that goes. Um, all right. Well, I got to go pretty soon, but Um, I'll take a few last minute questions if anyone's got them. Um, Now tech could be NAMI. Some existing stuff could be switched to ED, etc. Yeah. I think that could be right. In general, I I wanted kind of this separation between the old, the near stars, kind of the old Earth-based economy, and the new Commonwealth. There's clearly crossover, a ton of crossover, mostly through the corporations. Um, but I did kind of want some cultural separation. So I don't know how much, I don't know exactly how much, excuse me, um, commonality that there will be. But honestly, that's something that I don't think is perfectly handled in Eternity Port, and probably needs a little bit of thinking to get it right. So, all right. Well, sorry, I'm losing my voice. But thanks as always for watching. Next episode, why don't we do? I think I will do what Arcanon suggested, which is a kind of a retro. Do some of the retro games. Check out Frontier. Talk about that, and then um, after that, maybe we do essentially a Twitch version of IRC Day where we can just I'll just answer questions. I think that might be a lot of fun. So we can do that. All right. Well, thanks again. Thank you very much. Always great to do these things. I really do love chatting with you guys. So thanks always. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you all next week. Throwback Thursday. That's what we're calling it. Throwback Thursday. All right. Take care. One of these days, I really, if you guys are interested, I wouldn't mind playing some other space games just to see what other people are doing, kind of in the open world space game. But we'll talk about that later. I don't know. Maybe that's a dumb idea. But either way, I'll see you all next Thursday. Thanks a lot, and take care.